Tell me exactly what your job is. Like, what's the line responsibility you have? Is it a bully pulpit because you've done this before? Do you view that as part of your portfolio to sort of educate America?
Well, sure. I mean, I think some of these ideas are complicated for people when they first hear them. A lot of people don't know what retrofitting a building means, or they haven't heard of what is a smart biofuel, and so a lot of times people just sort of say yes, 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 but they aren't really following you. And so, because I was working to get these kinds of jobs to happen in places where people were more low income, I got pretty good at explaining this stuff where people can understand it. And so I got a chance to do some of that. But my main job is actually helping to coordinate a lot of the policy discussion and making sure that we've got the best ideas.
Have you considered that your vision might be far ahead of reality and what's really going on in the country? I know you're familiar with Tom Friedman's book, but he says that we're really not truly in a green revolution. We're having a green party.
Yeah, I've heard him say that.
where we all dabble a little bit.
You can't. The biggest problems in the world, that's when America excels. If you take a problem this big, there's the only force powerful enough to really deal with this energy transition, in my view, as the American entrepreneur, American innovation. Why? Because once we get the rules right and the price signals are right, we will unleash a swarm, a stampede of innovators and inventors. People will be coming out of the woodworks with new products, new ways forward. There's probably somebody that's got a YouTube or a Yahoo or a Google for energy right now in her brain or in her garage. She just hasn't had that opportunity to come forward and bring that to scale. So we're on our way now.
Is there any way right now, sitting here today, that you can quantify how many green jobs the stimulus package created that are existing now, not that can be created, but?
The Department of Labor is crunching those numbers and working through those numbers. So we don't have numbers that are ready to go right now. What we know is there's a lot. We get news stories every day, all day long.
Anecdotal evidence.
Anecdotal evidence that is incredibly encouraging. And the Department of Labor they crunch those numbers for the federal government, and they will be available as they come forward.
Skeptics say that all this really does, creating this green economy and green jobs, is that you're creating a lot of low-paying jobs.
I've heard that before too.
They're construction jobs or they're installation jobs, and that some of the white-collar energy jobs are still being outsourced. In fact, one report said that 22,000 jobs ended up in India of R&D and engineering. If that's accurate and we're not developing white-collar jobs, aren't the blue-collar or green-collar jobs just going to stall in their tracks?
If that were the outcome, that would be a very negative outcome. But that's really not the outcome that we're headed toward. I mean, if you look at the way that the green part of our recovery package is designed, we really are supporting growth, as I said, literally from the GEDs to the PhDs. That's really not the trajectory that we're on at this point. The other thing I'll say is this: we do have a commitment that even those more entry-level jobs be good jobs, be good-paying jobs, and have a pathway to success. If you get people in on the ground floor of a growing industry, they can grow with that industry. It's kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk. You grab and you go up.
In 2006, a group called Earth Justice did a study and said that the U.S.'s ecological base of people was 90% white, affluent, upper middle class. Why is that? And does that make your job harder as you go into the inner cities trying to sell kind of a green economy, green jobs?
All across America, you have people who are being thrown out of work. Blue-collar workers maybe who used to be able to make cars or make other things. If you go to them and you say, hey, guess what? We think we can put people back to work making advanced cars and smart batteries and wind turbines. They're with you.
I mean, why has the environmental movement been historically, just white upper middle class?
Well, because everything has to start somewhere. Because at first we didn't. I'll tell you why. At first we didn't have the vision at the governmental level to say this is an important thing for the country. We talk about it. Oh, we need to be more energy independent. Oh, solar panels, or whatever. But nobody did anything about it. And because then you didn't have the right rules at the government level, you didn't have the right investments, well, then only a small number of people could participate. That's the past, though. What we have right now is Congress gets it, the president gets it, the media is beginning to get it, lots of people get it. So once you cross that tipping point where you can get the right rules and the right investments, then everybody gets to play.
One final question. You have spent most of your career as a community activist. You started a couple of organizations, and you could be autonomous and sort of see, you know, the impact of your visions. How has this transition been working in a bureaucracy?
Well, you know, when you are at this moment in history where people, you know, want these kinds of changes to happen, then, you know, being a part of a government that is committed, that's passionate, that believes in innovation. I mean, I think one of the great things about this administration is it has a very clear view of where the jobs are going to come from. We're talking about private sector jobs. We're not talking about a big government works program. We're talking about putting the incentives in place and the opportunities in place for the private sector to get out there and do what it does best. Solve problems in the most efficient way, the lowest possible price with the highest amount of innovation. And you know, having come out of the private sector, I knew how tough it was for some of these brilliant entrepreneurs, I mean brilliant, to begin to get market share. And the barrier was not the lack of innovation. It was not the lack of interest from financiers. It was not the lack of even some demand that was beginning to build in the economy from the consumers. The barrier was that we didn't have a fair playing field for these new technologies to get in there and compete. And so seeing the opportunity to come in and help to coordinate some of the discussion at this level that might lead to more opportunity for more people, I said, geez, I can actually do a lot better helping from this level than I could if I had stayed in the private sector. So that's why I came. It's been great.